Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, and welcome to this last day of 5 days of us talking about objectives and outcomes. Basically, using a prompt to come up with a reason to make our boring fantasy and even modern and science fiction tabletop role-playing conflicts better. Pick a prompt for why or what the reason is that these two sides are fighting, the player characters and the enemies, basically a goal, the win condition, and then another prompt for if the players get involved and do something about it, or maybe they don't, they choose not to do something about it, what's the outcome? And is it even a good idea to get into a conflict? But first, put your feet up, get your drinking stacks, let's get into it. Welcome everybody. Yes, it's our last day, 5 videos, over an hour a piece. And you know, are these in any particular order? No. Or any particular importance? Not really. But and honestly, we could subdivide this into like a D100 table if we really wanted to, and even go beyond that. But basically, the idea is instead of the players making a left turn, rolling initiative, and we fighting on a green screen, let's have some stakes involved. Like, what either side of a conflict, what is the way? Hey, Drew, there's probably going to be an appearance thereof. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good crack of dawn, everybody. Yeah, this is a good old Friday here. We have our prompts here. Of course, there's overlap. Of course, these can be interpreted, reinterpreted, remixed, whatever. This isn't straitjacketing. This is just us having some fun and coming with some cool ideas. And so our first 4 objectives, we have our release, prevent, fortify, and race. So in other words, one side or the other wants to achieve this goal. So release can be anything. So for the player side, release could be releasing releasing the owlbears that were make the motion. I'm uncertain. I am completely uncertain as to, hey T, Thomas Anderson's here. What's up there? But release can be anything. Release the Kraken, release. But we understand that on the player side, maybe something innocent or something dangerous has been captured or chained or what have you. Yeah, release the kid. Listen, I won't have to say. I'm sure Brutus will show up and put his claws in me. That's why I wear the blanket, the fleece blanket, because it's like, what? But make motion and sound, and now you have to roll the hit for initiative. Hey, you know, do all that. Yeah, I mean, unless you want to have some fun with your sound effects and things like that. Yeah, you gotta do that. It's like whoosh, roll initiative. Now, the idea that something needs to be released can be like a tension timer in the background, something chained up, or in a cage, or in stasis, or behind cracking ice, or held within a pentagram of some sort, arcane, magical, what's it? Something in a spider's web, or under mental control, or whatever the case may be. Could be on an executioner's podium or something, held by guards and restrained by guards or whatever, or in a straitjacket, anything like that. Maybe whatever it is needs to be released, and the player characters, that's their goal. Now, the releasing could be elementals under the power of the thumb of evil wizards or something, and releasing this thing could create a lot of chaos and a lot of distraction or something. Could be allies that need to be released from their captivity, and the players throw them a bunch of weapons and shields and spears and join the fight, something like that. So that may be the win condition, right? If we release our allies and there's dozens of them and there's only a handful of us, once they're released and they can go beat ass, and then we're done, right? That may be the case. For the enemy side, the same or similar thing can happen. Maybe criminals or other bestial monsters or something are captured and they want to release them to cause havoc. Maybe these let's see, something simple like rabid wolves or whatever animals were out there being very bestial. The giant crocodile or something is in a cage. The enemy wants to release these powerful monsters, and the player characters are trying to stop that. Could be enemies that were arrested, before being taken down into the dungeon or executed or something. Same thing for the enemy. Maybe they want to release something. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a physical release as well. Maybe people are under the thumb of a totalitarian government and they need to be released to be shown the way to escape is to join together and to be released from the thumb of tyranny, meaning like everyone thinks everyone else won't join them, so then they have been convinced of a thing, and the player characters need to show the public, like, if we all stand together, we could take down the government or something like that. And same thing for being under the thumb of like a criminal organization or whatever. Now, the next objective is prevent. And again, prevent falls in line with things we talked about before, like prevent could be a blocking action or trapping or a capture or whatever. But I kind of think of a prevent objective as in preventing something from happening, meaning like preventing two enemy sides joining together and shaking hands. Those hobgoblins, mercenary group we were talking about, might combine with the vampire lord, and if they meet together and have similar goals, it might be a danger to everyone else. So it could be preventing a ritual. It could be preventing reinforcements from arriving for the enemy side. And I'm talking about the players doing something to prevent an action from happening. But the same could be done for enemies. 5 disparate goodly lands that work together could prevent the enemy from maintaining control. And so maybe they're preventing a diplomatic, convention of sorts between the 5 nations that could combine together and crush the evil armies or whatever. And they're like, we're going to prevent this from happening. Again, classic preventing a ritual from taking place, but also a prevention could be the building of a bridge, preventing saboteurs from taking something down. Very easy to fit like a prevent objective into a thing. And again, the idea of this is to, dare I say, overload the players with not enough actions to complete the objective and needing to make a hard choice. Do I fight the ogres or do I prevent the ritual from taking place? Well, if I prevent the ritual from taking place, either the ogres will start to beat me about the head and shoulders, or there will be more ogres to fight my allies, and we have to separate or split our attention. And that's a good thing. That's having a hard choice is a good thing, because players always, and we often see this in our YouTube seasons, where players are complaining like the players need to have agency. They need to have meaningful choices. And I think having a meaningful choice, whether it's combat or choosing to get into combat or not, this is how you do it. Come up with a prompt, come up with a win condition. Enemies, of course, will want to prevent the goodly people from, I'm always saying goodly, but the heroes from accomplishing their goal, preventing them from getting through the valley, preventing them from climbing the mountain, preventing them from getting it across the wall, preventing them from climbing out of the sewer, whatever the case might be. And prevent actions really can involve the environment and other situations. Like the enemy, the players are sneaking through the sewer. The enemy knows they're down there, and they slam the gate shut, locking both sides of the gate. And all of a sudden, the sewer waters start filling, and add in some giant alligators or whatever, and you've got a very boring encounter that has a great tension timer, because the enemy is like, oh, we don't need to fight you, we can just lock you down there and open up the floodgates and let the dirty diseased sewer water go down there and fill it up and drown our heroes. And how do they get the hell up out of the sewer, right? We also have fortify and race. Now, fortify, and we've seen this before, fortify, reinforce, whatever. Fortify could be the walls are not, the castle gates aren't closed, the portcullis isn't down, the walls have crumbled. There are allies that aren't as badass as our heroes, and they need to help them fortify a defense. And the players may need to run around helping the allies do what they do. The archers, great, the heroes run over, one hero runs over to the archers and helps them, toss some ranged attacks. Another group is like a shield phalanx or something, and they're creating a shield wall, and a player goes down there to help them with the shield wall. It could help fortify. I'm just coming up with a number. Let's say that the NPCs have a 5, the players can fortify them up to a number 15, as long as they are there, encouraging them with morale, supporting them with magic, supporting them with their skills, and very much could do that with a fortify win condition. Like, the enemy could be clashing up against the wall, and the players are just there to keep, as long as they keep the wall up, at least to exhaust the enemy. Maybe the enemy goes like, we won't be able to breach their defenses, we'll have to come back this another day. And that may be just a simple encounter that's lasting over a long period of time. For example, imagine yourself, let's come up with something a little bit bizarre. So we're in the accursed desert, the sun blazing overhead, it's dark sun. It is the, tell me it's dark sun without saying it's dark sun, right? It's desert-like, it's dusty, it's hot, there's no metal, and we have villagers that are they have a hanging village underneath a rocky outcrop, so that the rock overhead is like shadow for them to keep them semi-cool from the blazing sun. But they're also hanging because there's, I don't know, bestial monsters like boulets or some kind of bestial monsters that swim through the sands below them, and they want to climb up the rocky walls to get to their hanging village. And the players are like, okay, we have to defend this place. They need to fortify it with, I don't know, throwing rocks down onto the enemy, or throwing a dead carcass down into the sands so that the bestial swimming monsters, predators, eat that instead of trying to eat the innocent villagers who are trying to get the food and rare water up to the populace or something. And there are, I don't know, the village is attached to each other section of the village with cable lines and baskets that they pull on the rope baskets to go from one place to another or something like that. Anyway, just coming up with a fictional, I'm just pulling this out of my ass, right? And the players, because I'm going to go into our 4th objective, the players need to race around, because it's not just being there, but to get there first to do a thing. And that's where we get into our race objective, where race, it meaning like running time schedules, tension time. Ooh, our kitty is going to show up. Oops. Ooh, kitty. Thank you, Brutus. This is Brutus. Scarlet is her. This is Brutus. He, and his sister is about to take a nap because they've just burned themselves out. So, thank you there, kitty. Thank you. TA says, yeah, I was going to say just letting nasty floaters flood the thing out should be enough. Yeah. Hey, sometimes you got to pinch a loaf. I'm just saying. Yeah, letting nasty floaters flood the thing out should be enough. But if you have alligators, then the alligators are going to be mad because they both got woke up and the floaters. Drew's like, "Yay, kitty!" I'm actually a little surprised that Brutus allows me is comfortable with the tone of my voice. I'm a little loud. Uh, I'm trying to maintain a sense of urgency and excitement on our channel, and I'm a little surprised that Brutus is like, "Oh, this is comfortable." I think it's because I'm warm. I'm warm in my gullet, my little belly. I got a warm little belly. You are hilarious, Kitty. You are hilarious. All right. So, many role-playing games may not have very descriptive ways to have a race. Now, a race can be anything. There are races and chases and getting to things in a particular time and manner. But we see this so often in movies and things like that, like I'm surprised more classic combat tabletop role-playing games do not include or we've got over 45 years of this. Why don't we have very good used and overused chase and race rules? But a good way to do this, and this is one of my defaults for any tabletop role-playing game, is instead of using movement rates, which are very boring, I like to do a 3 strikes concept for nearly every tabletop role-playing game. And that is the players make skill, ability checks, whatever it is, and you have up to 3 times to get success. The first to 3 wins. And if there's a tie, you tend to break that tie either by continuing the race or you do a roll-off, right? One side versus the other side, or one person versus the other side. Examples of racing basically are you get a clock, a timer, a pressure thing to happen. And the good thing is, what you want to do is not the good thing. A good practice is to foreshadow dangers ahead of time so that you can reach in your back pocket and pull that out when you want to. So I like to foreshadow things like crumbling walls, like environmental things, crumbling walls, fortifications, about to fall, things that I can grab onto in the environment, like that portcullis that I mentioned earlier, or overloaded wagons in the streets, or the warehouse that has boxes and barrels stacked on top of each other, way up into the ceiling, twice as tall as a man's height, up to the chin of a dragon, or something, describing it kind of funny, right? And then if I want to have the enemies go into that warehouse and kick over the barrels and have things fall, if I want to have those dark, stormy clouds on the horizon, and now the necrotic lightning is now striking from the sky, if I want to have the storm-tossed sea, crash waves over top of the ship or over top of the coastline or the docks or something, I can always add that in. And you could do this with anything. You could say, like, there's a festival and large mobs of people. There are angry protesters. There are guards, dozens of guards sweeping through the streets. There's our criminal vandalists, vandals that have been spoken about in the tavern, that say, man, they're, periodically they run around destroying things and kicking over damn young folk, and you could add that into the background as flavor and fluff. And when you need to, click, turn it on and make it a mechanical thing. Now the players may need to race to get under the portcullis as the iron gates shut and come down and the walls close in. They need to run off the ship and get across the docks before yet another cold, frosty wave sweeps across the docks and knocking the PCs into the water, where the Sahuagin, whatever they are, the lamprey mouth shark people or whatever are there waiting for them, or something like that. that damn necrotic lightning that I keep bringing up, that keeps coming back over and over again. Those sandstorms from the accursed desert sweep in, and it's just an excuse to say, you know what, if I don't need this for this game or this session, I don't need to. But if the boring encounter that I have with the bandits on the road comes up, and I say a sandstorm's coming in, now the players may need to race to shelter. They need to race to get the gemstone. They need to race to over the hill before the enemy takes the hostages away, or something like that. Racing with the trolley through the supermarket and feeling the road rage. Hell yeah. Get out of my way, old lady. Right? You're blocking the way. I'm trying to get egg noodles, damn it. Right? Exactly, Drew. I mean, you know, let me think. Let me try to name at least 5 to 10 classic things we've seen in media that has to do with a race. So one is a very important item is slowly moving, rolling, about to fall and be destroyed. Maybe it's a gemstone, a gun, a scroll, a locket, something, the MacGuffin, a small MacGuffin or memento or something is slowly inching, a key, right? It's slowly inching its way, is about to fall into a sewer. It's about to fall into a fire. It's about to fall into acid. It's about to fall off the cliff. And one or two or more parties are going after it. The hero and the villain both want to reach for the gun, and it's slipping out of the grasp of both of them. The knife that one of them needs to get is sliding off of the deck of the ship, and they're both going after the Bunderblust or something. Yeah. Yeah. Racing to get the last 6-pack of Pepsi before they ban it all. Well, they may not need to ban it if they increase the price to $38 US per 6-pack, right? Like, it's wild, dude. But yeah, what is it? New York has been has had numerous iterations of wanting to ban like sugary products and things like that. You know, yeah, yeah, TA. But yeah, racing to find or grab a thing. Another race is your classic stagecoach caravan vehicle race. You know, like the 2 or more moving vehicles, people on either of those vehicles, Mad Max style, are racing, and one side needs to get to a place or find the other place or something like that. Now, a race could be a chase, which means one side wins if they get far enough away. The other side wins if they close in on each other, and the tension back and forth. And you can actually do this by splitting attention with the players to go, okay, you need to make a race check against the other side, and whoever gets the success check marks off one. Like I said, three strikes, you're out, right? So if the enemy loses upwards of 3 times, they're done. They're captured by the heroes. They're running away. The heroes are trying to capture them because they're bounty hunters, and they need to make 3 checks. And so those 3 checks, let's use 5th edition, right? Those could be most likely athletics checks. Players could make the case like, is it dexterity or constitution? Is it intelligence to outrate or get around them or something? And then you can throw in obstacles like rough roads and high winds and all that kind of stuff. Boss Bully Boy, good morning. Hi, thanks for stopping by. T says, if you're not fast enough, then all the Pepsi is gone, and you get stuck with the one leftover 6-pack of cans of New Coke. Oh, you and I, the 80s, right? Yeah. What was the clear one? Oh, Pepsi Clear. Remember that back in the 80s as well? That was pretty hilarious as well. So, yeah, a race to get somewhere, or to get a thing, or to stop a thing, or to arrive somewhere is always a great objective. And the great thing about having a race is putting things in the way to stop the people who are trying to race from one place to another. So, an example would be the player characters they're in the main open arena, and there's innocent people. Yeah, was it Crystal Pepsi? Yeah. Wild. I for some reason I remember Saturday Night Live doing a skit where they had Crystal. Oh, what was it? It wasn't spaghetti sauce. It was uh, turkey gravy or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious, and they were pouring this clear fluid over the turkey, like Yeah, it was pretty horrible back in the day. They were trying everything. They threw everything at the wall. Yeah, crazy. Crystal gravy. Yep. Hi. If you are late, you get stuck with nuclear sodas because they banned all the artificial food dyes. Yep. Well, you guys don't remember back in the day where it was like red number 6 or something like that turns your pee like to look like blood. That's why they stopped it. It happens. So, here's an example of a race. So, innocent people are in the arena, and the players are badasses. But there's a great monster that goes, you know what? The players keep sticking me with spears. That hurts. But there's innocent people who can't defend themselves. I'm going to eat that. And the great monsters goes racing towards the innocent people, and the players want to interpose themselves between the monster and the innocents. Well, how do you adjudicate that? Or rather, not only how do you adjudicate that, but is that a race the players want to win? And unless they are complete sociopaths or something like that, the players may want to get there first to interpose themselves with the monster, and there you have instant race, right? And in media, we see this all the time. A valuable item is about to slip off somewhere, and two sides try to race to grab it, or one or two people try to grab it. Maybe there's a key or a watch or there's explosives, and there is a what's the thing to activate that you click to set off the C4, and someone's got to grab it before it activates or whatever, or put the pin back into the hand grenade or something. We see a lot of these things with the release, prevent, fortify, and race objectives in media where two sides are in fast-moving vehicles, and both vehicles cannot fit down the narrow passageway or road or something like that, and they have to race each other to see who gets there first. Things like that. There's someone has set off or sabotaged a factory, and someone has to turn off the thing before the nuclear rods are released, or the disease gets out, or all the cages open up and release all the monsters, and someone has to cut the rope to let the portcullis down, or the bridge down, or anything like that. So I agree. TA, you're always like divergent off of this. Although I need a Soylent Green t-shirt. Thank you for reminding me. I gotta add that to my list. I've got my Wayland Yutani shirt. I've got my Cyberdyne Systems shirt. I need a Soylent Green shirt. Soylent Green Part 2. They said they changed the formula, but they didn't. It's still made out of people. Young people don't even understand what Soylent Green was about. I think one of the best scenes in Soylent Green was the dump truck scooping people out of the street and just dumping them in the back. Anyway, objectives are a win condition. Which one side or the other, the players or the enemies, what is their ultimate goal, instead of fighting to the death in our classic Dungeons and Dragons, right? What's the goal? If they achieve the objective, and they're still alive, they win. Whether it's the heroes or the villains, or both. Now, what's an outcome? An outcome is an aftermath. It's if the players get involved or do not get involved, what happens? And it's the preventative measure, right? It's the idea that the players are active in making a choice as to a thing happening or not. So in our four prompts today, the last, and like I said, these aren't in any particular order or any particular importance, are escape, revelations, misinformation, and mutation. So escape. Bad guys are captured in a dungeon. The goodly people are like, they're going to try to break in and release all of their evil allies. Hey, PCs, prevent them from escaping. PCs go, F you, we don't do this unless we get paid. A la Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man's origin. And unfortunately, that person went and killed Uncle Ben. And the escape condition or outcome, now the escape condition can be on the player side, right? They escape, their allies escape, innocent people escape, and if they do something, this is what will happen. And they need to get themselves involved. Maybe the players hear about an escape and they choose to investigate it, right? They don't have to be involved in it physically. Maybe they watch and see what happens when the anarchists escape from the stringent laws of this land, and they choose, okay, whose side do we want to be on? An escape outcome could also be the players, the proverbial, we've been captured and we need to escape out of the dungeon or something like that. Yeah. You're so silly. Racing to stop an unavoidable outcome because there is no choice number 3 or C, only 1 or 2, A or B. Exactly. Although players are pretty creative. And for me, I'm a pretty reasonably zen kind of person. And you come up with a great idea, then all my creativity can go out the window. I really don't care. I'd rather it be fun than be my idea. And I think sometimes people get stuck with there's only one way to do, shh, don't listen to this. There's only one way to skin a cat. Sorry, kitty. Oh, you started to purr. Thank you so much. You get me, right? Yeah. Spook says, I think the best thing about Soylent Green was that some tech guy thought lunch breaks were a waste of time, made a meal and a drink, called it Soylent, and seems oblivious to it. Yeah. It's just like, hey, let's make a movie about that. And it was like, I was just taking a break, dude. I was wondering if somebody would catch that. Drew says, I hope you mean the characters escape and not the players. I mean, what are you doing to the players? Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, the characters are fine. But the players are mine. They are in my basement. I gave them diapers and bread. They are mine. They will role play. They're like, my hands hurt. I'm tired of rolling the d20. You will roll them 1,000 more times. No! Oh, man, that's pretty funny. Really, heathen? I'm sure somebody else can get that. Yeah, it's just a good vampire movie. Let's see if I can think of one. 3, 2, 1. I can't do it. Oh, ooh. Okay. That's a good one. I think that's a good one. Let the right one in. I know there's a subtle vampire movie that I remember from the 80s. I can't think of it. I can't think of one. An escape room where the players have to succeed in a quest to get the door open. I don't know if you would succeed in a quest. I don't like locked doors. I mean, not physically locked doors, but like, locking something that the players can't get through and putting that behind a die roll. I'm like, nah. Just be creative. You can get through the thing, get through the thing. So, what an outcome of escape is great. We've had TV shows, long TV series based around like all the enemies or serial killers or the demons got out, and now the heroes have to go and get them back, and that could be a pretty good outcome to create more stories. Now we have revelations. Revelations are will go in line with misinformation. So revelations are the truth comes out, knowledge is exposed to the public, and the players may want to release or have exposed a lot of lies given to the people, like they're controlled by vampires and they don't realize it. And that in and of itself might be the win condition, instead of beating to death the enemy, right? Like the aliens or doppelgangers or whatever that have shape changed, and are have the people under their thrall, and it is exposed to everyone that there are, body snatchers or something. That can be a win condition for the players. A massive spell that casts an illusion over the lands, and the only people that can see it, like the movie They Live, the only ones that can see it are the player characters, and the rest of the people can't see it. That's a real thing that we've seen already in stories. Steal it, right? In your own home games. I'm sorry. Create an homage to that kind of storytelling. I think that's great. Even the revelation of letting the public know that they are more powerful than they think they are. If you've been watching the animated cartoon Invincible, there was a revelation of the Viltrumites. The Viltrumites are the evil stand-in supermen. Like they can fly, they're invulnerable, they're completely ruthless and bloody. And come to find out that the Viltrumites, which were an entire nation of people, have killed their way in each other down to like less than 50 of them, and they keep and they're being, our main character Invincible and his allies are slowly destroying the entire Viltrumite peoples down to their last members, right? And it could be revealed that maybe there's a enemy that's not as powerful as we think they are. It's like, oh no, there is no goblinoid army, it's always just been an illusion. Or there's a threat of a big demon coming out of the abyss, but there was never really a demon. It was just kobolds in a trench coat or something. Misinformation is another one. Players accused of a crime. The goodly nobles being blamed, or a rumor being told that they are witches or accursed. Let's play a game. Yep, exactly. Misinformation can be lots of things. Maybe the players want to exonerate themselves because they've been blamed for something. Maybe one of their allies, who's very knowledgeable and powerful and influential, is their name is tarnished, and so a misinformation campaign could be a way for an enemy to take one of the allies down. As a matter of fact, misinformation and revelations are the weapon of Vampire the Masquerade and the other White Wolf games in that region, right? Playing the game of chess with humanity and manipulating what's true and what's lies with magic and influence and money and bribery and threats and things of that nature. Our last one here are outcomes. Mutation. Maybe, this is more scientific, arcane, technological, alien or something. An outcome could be a major mutation sweeps through the land. Whether that mutation is desired or not. We've seen this in X-Men cartoons and graphic novels and things where someone wants to mutate everyone, making no one special or making all the normies have some kind of mutation. There's an old George R.R. Martin book series called Wild Cards. He was the editor-in-chief, and they got a lot of writers who never wrote for comic books. I'm not sure what that is, what the reference is. The writers each wrote a book within one world called Wild Cards, and it was an alien race of people similar to humans decided to experiment with a gaseous disease or something, and spread it around. Casting a spell of fake news, exactly. And it became known as the wild card virus. And so when the aliens came to Earth, they released the wild card virus, and 90% of the people died from the wild card virus because they died from a subconscious fear. So somebody might turn into a tree, someone turned into glass and got shattered, someone shrunk into nothingness, someone turned inside out, someone caught on fire, somebody drowned in the middle of the streets, things like that. Someone's body got crushed because they imagined themselves falling off of a building, even though they were just literally standing on the corner of the street, and all of a sudden their body just slams to the ground and cracks because they thought that they had fallen, because that was their greatest fear. And then 9% of the people turned into people known as jokers. Jokers were like mutated people. Someone was born with wings, someone had an elephant nose, there was a crime lord lady who dealt with forgeries, and she was like a fixer, and her skin turned invisible. So she was still alive, but you could see her skin, and she was like strangely, oddly alluring, but also hideous at the same time. And then 1% of the people became known as aces, and they were like superheroes. They got telekinesis, or could grow into a giant, or they got great skills or super strength or something like that. It was a CIA operation to manipulate the news of a country to collapse or subvert their direction in the past. Exactly. That's where a misinformation campaign might try to be stopped by the player characters, right? Like that's a great plot, to be honest with you, instead of just a combat encounter. But of course it could be. The doppelgangers change into the player characters, commit a bunch of crimes, and the doppelgangers are like, see ya, after causing all this sabotage, and the players are like, damn it, I can't believe we've been blamed for that. Why not? I guess it was magic after all. They're funny. Drew says, neat, I am an ace already. An ace as an asexual, though. Oh, well, still an ace, right? Why not? Although, if you go back and read those Wild Cards books, George R.R. Martin had a little bit of there was a sexuality into it, a deviance of sexuality into it that some people found a little bit like really, George, really. There were characters in it that got their powers from tantric magic, which was wild. Anyway, it was the Wild Cards, and they were writers that were writing a combined world of superheroes who normally never wrote for comic books. And they weren't comic books, these were actually novels called the Wild Card series. I think there were maybe upwards of 30 plus books, and I think it's been revisited like 3 or 4 times with different volumes. I think it began to take place back in the 30s and 40s, and then it moves through time up to so-called modern day. So modern day, I think it was released in the 80s. I think they revisited it in the 90s, and then mid to late 2000s as well. Now, circling back to the objectives and outcomes, you don't need to use anything I created, right? We did 5 days of this, and Drew easily had me going like, well, you could change this to that and that to that and that. And if we could take every one of these prompts, go look in our thesaurus and pick 5 more prompts. So if you got 20 times 5 is 100. We could easily make a D100 table that would not encompass all of the objectives and outcomes, which actually would technically be 100 plus 100. And then if you mix the two, that's, I can't do the math. I know it's not 1,000 because you're going to get duplicates, but you could get, I think you could get well over 1,000 different combinations to take a boring encounter and making it better. Is it 10,000? 10,000 groups? See, there you go. Yep. Red Dwarf. He's so funny. I love that show. Yeah, it is an old classic, Red Dwarf. Yeah, Rimmer. I always like the stories where 1% of Earth's population gains superpowers, and it's Western centric, while China and India just become the strongest nations in the world by percentage. That's actually true. It's pretty funny because it is true. Like, you know, here in the States, like all the superhero stories, and I think it's because we here in the States have grown up with comic books like that. So it's kind of our mythology, if you will. If you think of comic books like the Greek gods or something, it's kind of like that. But you are correct. If 1% of the population got superpowers, like China and India would absolutely dominate. Who would be number 3? Africa, maybe? Or the southern Asian countries, like you maybe combine like Thailand and Philippines. I don't know. Not sure. Oh, you're all right there. Shice. You're right there, Hunt. You're quite all right. Did I tell you that YouTube dinged me for playing your video? Remember I played I played the what do you call post-human nanotech Irish video? Yeah, they dinged me. They're just like, it's a copyright strike. I didn't fight. I mean, there's no need to fight it. Nothing like that. But that was funny. I did tell you about that. But it was kind of funny. It's just like, wait a minute. The person who made it is in the chat, and you already know. Yeah, it's weird. Sounds a bit like something that was not touched on in New Universe, where people suddenly showed up with paranormal powers due to the white event, where bright flash leads to that event. That you always have to have the there's always an inciting event, and we love ourselves some inciting events, right? Comet goes through the sky, bright white light, radiation exposure, alien comet, asteroid or something impacts the Earth, you know, the alignment of the planets. There's always cool stuff like that. It's kind of cool, right? Yeah. But anyway, yes, that AI IRA song, it dinged me too, because the guy who made the track for it, MVM, Man Von Mond, had it copyrighted, but he also explicitly let me use it. Yeah. Ooh, yep, the spider bite. Yeah, inciting event, right? Thank you. Spook says, populations, India 1, China 2. Let's throw this up here. India 1, China 2. U.S. and the United States. Both India and China have 1.1 billion more people than the United States. Wow. Yeah, they would... 1% of the population with superpowers, they would dominate. Although, to extrapolate on that, maybe they have the most deaths as well, population-wise. Because not everybody with superpowers is going to be a good person and or loyal to their country. And I could see the United States or the smaller countries wanting to do a preemptive strike against the countries with the most people. But if random people are picked, I could see countries scrambling to find and recruit and or eliminate all the people in it that have superpowers to either A, get them on their side to use them as a weapon, or B, get rid of them because they're a danger to those in power. So already we have a story about that. Although the X-Men have done this over and over again, so yeah, whatever. Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, it was one of those low level copyright strikes. Yeah, it was. It actually even said, "Don't worry, it's not going to affect your channel." And I was like, "All right, that's cool." I think it was a warning kind of thing, like, we're not going to ding your channel really because you're not supposed to do that, but we get it. At least the algorithm. I'm gonna say that the algorithm. Me and the algorithm are friends. Yeah, also those countries do have roughly 1% geniuses. I mean, IQ 140 plus, and that is the closest thing to a superpower we've got in real life. That's if the geniuses are able to be harnessed some of those geniuses basically end up dying because they are in a unfortunate social status, which brings its own story. So we are basically at the end of this. So let's turn this off here, and get into some. Our asses love the world build over here on the channel. So for those who found the channel, there's only 4 people here, but there will be people that there will be people that will come in. Let me pick them up a little bit. Yeah. So if someone could harness the power of the people that are lost to us too soon, there are a lot of people who are suffering from economic, nutritional, regional, shelter. Those geniuses may not come to fruition because they don't have enough food, enough shelter, enough education, enough of a voice, not a long enough lifespan, not enough tools in their toolbox to be able to harness that genius that is there. And hell, people didn't realize that happened here in the United States for a long time. Yeah, it affects the copyright. Was it a copyright strike or a claim? Claims only affect financial and not enact a punishment further. It was a you cannot monetize this video strike. That's what happened. It was a claim with a claim that didn't go anywhere. Yeah, harness the genius. Don't let them sit around in some apartment with an entry-level job. Exactly. Yeah, give them, educate them, give them the tools, and let them go wild. But there's a little bit of a fear of geniuses, right? Like the United States for a long time, the history of the United States is made up of holding people back because of their culture or the way they look or their religion and whatnot. And lo and behold, every single community in the United States that was illegally and unfortunately held back has always had geniuses rise to the surface. That's why we have so many, like, for example, African American. We have, as a member of that community, I know of a number of ethnic struggle movies, right? We have TV shows and movies that about like the first, right? And the reason why, for example, the Tuskegee Airmen were so dominant as so dominant in the war as pilots, also known as the Red Tails, was because every one of those members was a near genius in their own right. So they had to be twice as good to get half as much. So of course the geniuses are going to rise up if you say, hey, because you're black, you can't be an Air Force pilot. So the best of the best became Air Force pilots. So of course they're going to be better than everybody else who was just some normie in the middle of the country who's like, I guess I'll serve. I don't know. I'm not that smart, but I'll try it. Right. And then you have a bunch of these other dudes that are all like multiple PhDs with higher than average physical ability and manual dexterity because they didn't even want them in the position in the first place. So you're going to get that if you oppress any group of people that have that by percentage will have geniuses in them, then you're always going to get those people who are going to rise to the top and be better than everybody else, simply by having eyes closed to the reality of that fact. So yeah, here we go. Let's go with TA says you're so funny. Some of the greatest inventions and world-changing ideas came from regular not geniuses that just created something to solve a problem they had. Oh, so many I just need to solve the problem came from so many other people, right? Like did the person who created the aqueduct Were they a genius, or were they just friggin' tired? They're like, if we put the water in a tube, we could get the water from A to B, because I'm really tired of picking up buckets. Right? Yeah. I am somehow less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshops. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of great people that just have come and gone and disappeared. Well, if we want to take the genius level, what is it? There's like 9 types of intelligence or something. Music and art, dance, sports, hell, politics. There's a lot of people who are hell. What was it? Not Thomas Jefferson. Benjamin Franklin from my old hometown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, settling in the country, was like a civil genius who came up with new ways of having a government or something. Drew says, "You speak as if that were the past." Drew, we just wear taller boots for the shit show. Yeah, we just wear waders. The boots that are basically like overalls. That's what we've done. Somebody was just like, "Hey, let's not clean it up. Let's just wear taller boots." USSR went crazy after eliminating their super smart people for fear of losing the newly found power. Yep, to one or more of those smarter people they used to gain the power initially. Yep. Smart people puts us in power, kill all the smart people after that. That's the story of John Wick, right? Gave John Wick an impossible mission to eliminate all their enemies and then tell them to go retire. That's the John Wick story, right? Like the greatest assassin of all goes into retirement, and thank goodness he did. And oh, my kid just killed his dog. Damn it, right? Yeah, that's effed up, but that's what people do, right? There are plenty of people who test out with super high IQ that all they do with it is find clever ways to tell others how smart they are too on the other side. You don't need to have an IQ. Let's be honest. You don't need a high IQ to be arrogant enough to tell other people how smart you are. I'm going to butcher the quote. It's it's a 3-part quote. It's like, dumb people talk about how smart they are. Smart people talk about. Let me see. I can't remember it. God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't remember. And all I know is it ends with like smart people claim they know everything, and then brilliant people claim brilliant people know how much they don't know. It's something like that. I can't remember it. I fucked it up. Oh well. Even regular old intelligence is strongly sexist. Really? I mean, all the women who were brilliant mathematicians are never being called geniuses. Well, there are people who are like that because they measure themselves against everybody else, like crabs in a barrel. Like, you got to pull people down. But a person is brilliant no matter what. What's a good example of that? That I can think of a woman that like really well. I mean, we've got what is it? Hidden Figures is a perfect example of that. The movie Hidden Figures with the women that were the mathematicians that figured out how to get to the moon and get the astronauts to the moon. I mean, that's just a small, minor example. The WASPs, the women aviators, I can't remember what it stands for, WASP. They were the female aviators. I think Russia had female snipers. I mean, hey, let's just take half our population and not cultivate the best out of them, right? It's so stupid. Yeah. The artificial cultivation of like only certain people can do certain things is absolutely ridiculous to me. It doesn't mean you're going to get equal outcomes, but you should always have equal opportunities. I just feel like you should, because we were talking about geniuses, right? Like a 1%. If you harness the power of that 1% and give them what they need, that 1% can change the world and make the world and your life and everything better. So by artificially cutting that 1% into 0.5%, you're automatically putting yourself behind the 8 ball. Communism inherently weeds out the success. They are. Oh, why am I not putting this up here? Oops. Sorry, chat. Communism inherently weeds out the successful. They are the bourgeoisie, enemies of the system, and they don't have to be very successful. Having good ideas or outshining managers is enough. I work in a place where if you outshine a manager, you're in trouble. Midwits. That's great. I love that term. Midwits. The ones who run the world. IQ slightly above average, far from genius level. Think that they're the ones responsible for saving civilization. They also are the ones who are smart enough to know that there's people smarter than them and to figure out a way to crush that intelligence, which makes them just smart enough to realize that they are vulnerable, which is kind of midwits. I like that. I love that so much. Sounds like the president's wife that said common people talk about other people, something, and brilliant people talk about ideas. Yes, you are correct. Yeah, because you're like me. I'm like, oh, I know, I heard that thing, damn it. Anybody who sees this video, please drop it in the chat. If you get to this end of the video and you see that, please drop that quote and a link to or attribution to these things. Yeah. Yep. Common people talk about other people, something, and brilliant people talk about ideas. Yep. I think it's like common people talk about other people, middling people talk about themselves, and brilliant people talk about ideas. It's something like to that effect. Yeah. Brutus is knocked out. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for just sticking by me and hanging out and bringing your brilliance and things like that. There it is. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Eleanor Roosevelt. Yes. Slow clap. Slow clap. That's it. That's the one. That's the one that really. And it's funny because as poignant as that. Well, we've talked about female geniuses, right? As poignant as that saying is, people fall into that trap a lot. As a matter of fact, social media kind of is wrapped around that, right? If you think about it, small minds discuss people and average minds discuss events, getting all worked up about it, but great minds discuss ideas. Yep. Shai says, you think so? The archetype midwit is just smarter than everyone he went to school with, and that makes him think he's the big Ozymandias or Ozymandias, who's got the master plan to save the world. Yep. That shows the type of personality. Tom TA says, that shows the type of personality, though, as the good will find the smart and hire their strengths and recognize that they have the weaknesses they need that help one. It's very difficult to find a good, it's always been my argument about great leadership is that a great leader actually doesn't need to know how things run. A great leader finds people with the best talent, puts them in proper positions, and gives them what they need to succeed. So a great leader is actually in many ways weak and finds other people who are strong in their element to fill that role. And the leader is the one who is the ultimate that just makes the decision to say, yes, do that thing, or no, don't do that thing, right? So leaders are basically project managers. They don't need to know the thing, but they need to know the people that know the thing. And it's very rare to get a great leader that steps back and goes, I don't know how to handle the situation, but I know somebody who can, and I'm going to find that person and give them the resources they need and the authority they need to do that thing. The problem is a leader like that will surround themselves with capable people who have access to resources that might corrupt them, because then that power then goes, well, hey, let's just get rid of the leader. Instead of making things better, we can get rid of the weak leader. So yeah, whatever. Yeah. Midwits that are evil will crush and fear anyone smarter than them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. Yep. Always better to, I mean, think about it. Capitalism is kind of built around that, right? It's not making the better, it's not just making the better mousetrap. You guys know that term, right? Making the better mousetrap is like something exists and then you can become rich and profitable and famous and help the world out by just basically doing something better than the next person. But that's not exactly true. It's also the ability to prevent anybody else from making mousetraps, or to persuade other people to not buy those other mousetraps, because if they do so, they can't get something from you. So we understand that like capitalism really isn't a fair fight. You know, it's like a race, and you're running and you're racing, and the person ahead of you pays 3 other people behind them to break your ankles and kneecap you with baseball bats. You know, there's a bit of that. Senator Bernie Sanders gave such a great speech the other day. That man should have been president of the U.S. You're not going to get that. Yeah, you can't. He doesn't talk in sound bites. He's not classically charismatic in the most egregious manner of charisma, right? Some people have great ideas, and that's, I hear you, Drew, but you know, being sensational or promising people carrots or telling people they're going to get hit with the stick is a little bit more the speed of most people's politics in average, rather than a long form, thoughtful, good idea. Now, I don't know if I'm necessarily want to say that I'm a Bernie Sanders fan. I just don't like. I'm not a fan of people who are close-minded and simplistic and have the inability to imagine themselves in other people's shoes, and are have no concept of second and third and fourth order side effects of things. You know, a lot of these people are just like nuke them and let God sort it out, instead of understanding that, you know, being a bully means that you do realize people can punch you back. You know, no one. It's just a weird concept. I feel today. Like, even we have people in this country that don't even believe. They don't realize that they are pushing for a totalitarian government. Like, we have a democracy for a reason, and that's so that a single voice and a single ideal can never take over. That's why we have a democracy. You know. Yep, we are more stick driven than carrot driven. This U.S. is very fear driven. I mean, that is the whole stick of the conservatives, but the Democrats are also too risk averse. They're carrots. They love to dangle carrots. You'll get if you vote for me, you'll get this thing. It's like, we'll make this better. Your life will be just better if you do this. And it's like, well, how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to get the resources to do that? How are you going to help? Yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, he also bows down when threatened by the party. Thus, why bowed out and let Hillary be the nominee? With the right messaging, he could have possibly ran as a spoiler to punish them for stealing his nominee. Yeah, but you know, money, money. Yep. Yeah. Sanders was marginalized by his own party, critical of our Great ally was unallowable in the U.S. politics. Yep. Who raises the most money sometimes is the winner. Who's the most marketable? Marketability is a thing. Strangely enough, you sometimes can't say things that upset people, even if it's the right thing to do. That's a very difficult line to follow if you're a politician. To be like, you know what, everybody, you need to wake the hell up, and this is a change we need to have. People don't like being told that they are wrong, in the sense of you're doing something that's going to harm yourself or your children or national security or the economy or things like that. Yeah. But anyway, guys, we turn into a political. This channel probably could be a political channel and probably get like 1 million subscribers, but it would get a lot of hate. But yeah, two-party systems suck. It's so childish, but yep. Yeah, two-party systems exist because human beings are we like simple choices. It's the paradox of choice. People want a lot of choices, but when they get a lot of choices, they don't know what to do. So left or right, up or down, forwards, backwards, black, white, on, off. Human beings, as a aggregate, fall into two choice systems because of that. So who would rob golden rule? Everything's politics, dude. I know that's his rule. Yeah. That is the way to tell who is utterly the strongest, by looking to see who is the most transparent. Like, I am so strong, I don't need secrets to succeed. That's a very true thing too. Although, like, even in today, we have moved so critical that truth doesn't seem real any longer. So would be a good chance to go full streaming all day long with reality TV show things and show how much money it would generate, eliminating all taxes. Hey, that's strangely enough, yeah. Well, to be honest with you, what is it? Someone said if the combined billionaires in the world paid the same tax bracket that the lower population paid, basically the middle class, that they would eliminate all debt. I think I heard that before. We're going to go out on that one. By forcing all politicians to have a camera on them 24/7 and monetizing it to cover government expenses. Can we slow clap on that? That would be awesome. That would be great. Although, you'd see people picking their nose and farting and like, I don't know. They've got toilet paper stuck to the bottom of their shoe. They didn't tuck their pants in quite right. Their fly would be open. You get the wind and it would blow part of the toupee up and things like that. You'd get little things like that if you put a camera on someone 24/7. And I don't know how long it would take to get past that, to ignore that for the person you really want running things, no matter where they're at. We are very simplistic people, and we make fun of people's last names. We make fun of, I don't know, the color of a tie, dumb stuff that doesn't matter, and people latch onto those things. TA says it could literally be successful enough to not end on taxes. Instead, you get a yearly dividend of the excess money they earned by allowing us to know they are not doing wrong. There is a term for that. Is it surveillance? It's not surveillance. It is surveillance by the people all the time, and I think it's called surveillance. But there is a term for that. I've heard of like anarchy groups that want to call for something like that. Yeah. People are just the worst. Here's the hope for AI taking over soon. Guys, yeah. Yeah, it would. The importance of it was that it would poison the well of power with an anti-psychopathic toxin. I don't know. I don't know. We have it. There is a little bit of there is a little bit of a psychopathy when it comes to being in the public eye. Like most average common sense people don't want that kind of attention and don't crave that kind of power and don't want that kind of responsibility, which is weird because those would probably be the best people for the job. But yeah. Yeah, a panopticon for the leaders rather than a populace. Yeah. That is in Eclipse Phase, the tabletop role-playing game. See how I made that a tabletop role-playing game subject? And I also have that in Obsidian Star, or rather, there are different categories of surveillance that exist, and that happens to be one of them, where the population, to gain power, you are monitored 24/7, and there are people who are influencers in the best and or worst way by being on camera all the time, and that people like that. So, yep. Yeah, which is why you have to control them with something like responsibility. Yeah. You would just have to, we human beings would have to get past the dumb stuff, and I don't know if we're mature enough to get past the belching and picking the nose and, you know, that kind of thing, you know, human foibles, and get past that to getting to the real ideas, because we don't even listen to real ideas right now for like 15 minutes with a normal conversation. So everything's sound bites and clickbait and things like that. Speaking of Obsidian Star, would you mind letting me read your current stuff so I could give you feedback on it? Yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. I will. It's separated into different. I'll organize it and get it together. Actually, what I could do, yes, I'll do both. I will merge my documents and get it together, because right now what I'm doing is cutting away at it to try to make it as simple as possible. Because I overwrite and blah 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 blah, you know, right up the side of my neck, right? Overwrite. But yeah, I'll put that together. I was thinking of like doing like the last 15 minutes of the show by segueing over into like an Obsidian Star, you know, do a little Obsidian Star intro, and then I could cut it off and make it its own video if I wanted to, by just doing I can do a simple edit that way or something. I don't know, whatever. Man, we could use AI to spit out humorous stuff, and the person who gets the office would have a sense of humor. Just this AI do it, yeah. So yes, Drew, I will absolutely do that. So guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Everyone have a great weekend as well, and we will see thee bright Monday morning. And say goodbye. Say goodbye to Brutus. Broody, yeah. If you understand Ohio and Ohio State, you understand where the name Brutus came from. A name by my wife. So funny. Yep, he can either be indignant and look like a jerk, or laugh at them and endear people to him. Yep, yeah, very much so. Have a great weekend, folks. I will see thee later. Bye.